guys, so today is our first recorded class for 2020 in this funny era we're living in. So guys, our next step in our camera anatomy is for you guys to work with your shutter. So when we work with our shutter, we are concerned in the amount of time that our shutter curtain stays open. So as always, I bought a film camera to quickly show you the inside of the camera. So I'm going to hand over my lens to my assistant Liezel, and I am going to open up the back of the camera. Wait, it went off. Okay guys, so I want you to look, when I just let the cock over, when I press my shutter button, the curtains open up. So in other words, as long as the curtains are open, that's the amount of time that your shutter will stay open. So in other words, this means that the longer the shutter stays open, the more exposed your image is going to be. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to open up again. I'm going to show you a second. Just do the cock again, and here we go. That's a second, and now I am going to put it on a fraction of a second, and I just want you guys to listen to the difference. You can see how fast that is. Okay guys, so when you start to do a photograph, there's in the beginning, for where your experience level is, I think always a bit of a recipe to follow, to think about what you need to put your camera on. So as we've been talking since the beginning of the term, we always start with what balance we will put our camera on. So at this moment we are standing underneath the roof. I know you guys know this spot, so I will most probably put my camera on auto white balance, or we will go to overcast or shade. The next question is, how much light do I have? Then you decide on what ISO number you are going to put your camera. But my suggestion for this part of the class, I want you to put your ISO number on automatic. Okay, so that will be your first few decisions. So our next step and the next mode button that we are going to talk about is the shutter priority mode. So as I said, this is where we are concerned with motion and with the amount of time that your shutter stays open. Just roughly, I will do an online session with you for questions and answers, but your shutter numbers are going to work the same as we spoke about your f-stop number. Everything in photography, if I open up a stop of light, I double the amount of light that goes into the camera. The same thing counts for the shutter button. But before we go on, let's quickly go and look at every brand so that you guys know where to put your mode dial. Okay, so guys, the first brand is Canon. I've got the 60D, but I think they all look similar. So your first button you are going to turn is, instead of aperture priority, we are now going to go into TV mode, which stands for time value. I'm going to put my ISO on automatic. So I'm just going to turn, and that is on automatic now. So in other words, what's going to happen now, the camera is going to control everything, but you are going to control your shutter. Okay guys, so when I look at the display of the Canon, you will first of all see that you've got your time value button, so shutter priority. Next to it you'll see a number. At the moment the camera is set to 1 second. I'm just going to go on, and you will see my ISO is on automatic. So what's going to happen if I turn my control dial, you will see that your shutter numbers is going to change. So as always guys, 1 second plus 1 second is going to give me 2 seconds. In other words, the camera is going to stay open for longer, and I'm going to add light. From 2 I'm going to go to 4, and it's going to go to 8. So I'm going to now dial to the other side. I'm going to go back to 1 second. So opposite direction. Now I'm going to go into fractions of seconds. So I'm going to dial 1, 2, 3, and that is a fourth of a second. And then we are going to an eighth of a second. 15th of a second, and it goes faster and faster and faster. Most cameras, fastest shutter number will be a 4,000th of a second, so that is extremely fast. Okay guys, this is the X-T30. So first you need to do is you are going to put your lens in aperture priority. So remember, here on the side of the lens there's a little aperture sign. You go in automatic there, and then you are going to also put your camera on auto ISO. So I'm going to go to the Q button. I'm going to navigate to my ISO area. There we go. So just to show again, Q button, ISO, and I am going to navigate until I get to auto ISO. If I can find it. There we go, auto 1. Right, okay, then on the X-T30 and on the X-T3, this is your shutter dial. So you can decide to work in full stops of light. You will see it goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 15, and these are indicators of fractions of seconds. So, but to make this easier for you, I am going to put this button on time mode. Okay, let me just double check, and then let me see, I've got it there. So it's on time mode there. I'm going to press my shutter button lightly, and I want you to see on your screen it says SS, that stands for shutter priority. And when I start to dial my back dial, just give me a second guys, I am going to start to set my shutter speed. Okay, so again, this camera's fastest shutter speed is 8,000th of a second, and I'm going to start to dial. I go to 4,000, 2,000, and it goes lower and lower and lower. So X-T30 goes all the way to 30 seconds, 50 seconds, 60, and it goes up to 15 minutes. Okay, that's it for the X-T30. So guys, this is the XH1, but it's the same as the X-T3. So I'm going to switch it on. That is my ISO dial. I'm going to just unlock it, put it on automatic. I'm going to put my aperture ring in auto as well. I'm not going to do it now. Again, there's my shutter dial. I'm going to put this into time mode. So just remember to unlock your button. Okay, and then same thing on the back of my screen. I'll be able to see my shutter number, and then obviously the camera is going to decide on your f-stop number. Okay guys, this is the Nikon D7000. It is quite an advanced camera, but they again all work on the same principle. Modal, you are going to go out of aperture priority. It's in manual at the moment. That's aperture priority. And then on the Nikon cameras, S stands for shutter priority. That is where you want to be, guys. And remember, with your cameras, you are going to press your info button twice to get into your LCD screen to change your ISO number to automatic, and you are obviously, the camera is going to do the rest. Okay, if there's questions on the Nikon cameras, I will do that on a live feed with you guys. Guys, so a lot of you are going to use your tripods for the first time in this week. So I just want to give a few tips. So first of all, make sure that your base plate is as tight as possible on your camera. Look here, I cannot move this base plate at all. Okay, I'm going to click this into my tripod. Obviously every tripod is going to work different. You need to figure out your own tripod. Okay guys, so when you release your legs, always make sure to release the bottom ones first, because that is where your tripod is going to be the sturdiest, and then put it according to your height so that you can work comfortably. Very important thing guys, my tripod can turn around. Yours will be able to do the same. You can go into portrait, and then I can go up and down as well. Okay, so now you always need to make sure that the legs of the tripod as far apart as possible, so that you cover the biggest area the tripod can go. Then always make sure that your lens is over a leg. The reason for that is if you put your camera where you're facing there and two legs are out like this, it is extremely easy for the camera just to fall. Okay, so guys, don't have a fright with that. I had my camera in my hand. Okay, great stuff. That's on tripods. Okay, in front of you, you have got an umbrella. If you look behind the umbrella, go behind, no, quick. That is Liezel. Liezel is so kind to be our model for today. She's also our photographer, friend and pro in the situation. As always, I want you guys to have your cameras on your tripod. This is a quick exercise just to show you the effect that your shutter speed can have on motion. Please look in your viewfinder and you will see your shutter number at the bottom of your viewfinder. I am going to shoot the first photograph on a 4,000th of a second, so it's 1/4000. So I'm going to focus and I take my first shot on a 4,000. It is a little bit dark, in other words there's not enough light because the shutter are in such a fast shutter mode. Okay, so next photograph I'm going to go down to 2000, focus, and exposure looks better, and then I go down the whole range and I'm going to go to 1000, 500th of a second. Remember, I divided by 2 to 50th of a second. Take the same shot and then I'm going to go down again, 125. I still don't have a blurry motion photo, 60th of a second. And there we started to see some movement, 30th of a second. And I see more movement, 15, and 1/8 of a second, and 1/4 of a second. Alright guys, I'm going to go even one slower, 1/2 a second, and I will show you guys on the stills images what the effect will start to have on your model because it's so slow. Guys, our friendly studio manager Gerrie is helping us today. He's actually the cameraman. So just to quickly explain the scenario. So when you do motion, you need to show something that is in motion. If you just take a stills photograph and people are just moving but you're freezing the motion, it's not going to look as if they are in motion. So the idea is to have this flag in motion. Gerrie's going to be still. We are only 3 people. I've put the camera on its self-timer mode so that I can just quickly press the button, and it's going to start to count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the photograph goes. Okay guys, now the opposite. I'm going to keep the flag static. I think this will work better, and then we are going to ask Gerrie to skateboard in front of the lens. We're going to do the self-timer again, but it's just to explain to you guys what we are busy with. I've got wind at the moment, so the flag is not going to be static, so I can't go too slow. Okay, so the idea is flag is static and Gerrie, go. 1, 2, 3, go! Stop. Okay guys, so something easy to try is just to ask your sister, your brother or your mother, but maybe not your grandmother, to jump up in the air. You're going to put your camera on 2,000th of a second and just ask somebody to jump for you. And here we go, 1, 2, 3, and again, 1, 2, 3, wah! And 1, 2, 3, woo! Okay guys, so our next technique is called panning. I will explain that in a bit. The first thing you need to do is to put your drive into multiple frames. So in other words, you're not going to be in your self timer. Just to confirm, you are looking for a drive button on the Canon. I am gonna, sorry, wrong button, that one there, and I'm gonna turn my dial, and that's high speed, low speed, and then one shot. So to confirm, when I'm in one shot, I press the shutter down, I can't take another shot. So I'm going to go back into drive, go to multi-frames, and just hear the difference. That's what you want to hear when you do this. Okay. On the Fuji cameras, you are going to put from single into continuous low or continuous high. Okay guys, so the technique panning. So the idea with this technique is that you've got your subject matter in focus and you've got your background in blur. Depending on your subject matter, you are going to make your shutter speed a little bit slower, follow your subject matter, stay in focus, and then the background will go out of focus. So if I am your grandmother and you are not going to try to show your grandmother walking, if your grandmother walks like this, you are definitely not going to capture motion. So what you want to have is something that's a bit faster. So you will see Liezel while she's busy doing the technique. She is going to start following me from the starting point. She's going to move through. As I walk past the area where she wants to get the shot, she will press her shutter button down. So here I go. I am going to walk very fast. Here we go, guys. And I'm going to come back from this side. Liezel, you can follow me from this side. And she focuses on me. And when I go faster, she's in the correct focus area. And here I come. I'm going to walk fast. So guys, this is something that you are going to have to practice. You can please just be careful. You can try this on your dad as he's driving with his car, maybe up and down in the street. I want you guys to think creative about this. Find a subject matter that you can pan horizontally. Don't try to do it diagonally or vertically. Horizontally is definitely for a start the better choice. Please play around with shutter speeds like a 15th of a second, 30th. If I go over to cars, obviously something like 250th of a second, or even faster, 500th of a second. If we were able to go to the Ferraris, I'm sure we would have get some background blur on maybe even 1,000th of a second. Okay guys, so that was the lesson.